tell me a little bit about your story. 2020 rolls around, COVID time. You guys are like, perfect time to start a company. What and why did you guys start the company? And then tell me a little bit more about that.
I was working for another company, competitor now in the area, and just wasn't super happy with how everything was going. Figured I would try it on my own.
How do you guys position yourselves against sort of like the giants, like the ADPs of the world?
Our thing is like we're from the small town that, Josh started the business in. We grew up here. We know people here. Our techs are from here. And we kind of kept that mentality even as we started to grow, that small town mentality, and just like offer that to people, make it more personal.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Superpro podcast. I'm Roland Ligtenberg. I'm also the co-founder of Housecall Pro. Since 2013, we've been on a mission to champion the trades and champion our pros because the work you guys do keeps our homes safe, comfortable, and communities running. In this case, for JR Security System Solutions, it's safe for sure. We'll talk about that in a second. Through Housecall Pro, I've had the privilege of supporting hundreds of thousands of pros just like you all, empowering you guys to achieve more, stress less, and redefine success in our industry. I'm excited today because we've got Josh and Tim from JR Security Solutions. They're based out of Ontario in Canada, which means they're super nice and friendly. They're on the podcast. They're also super pros. And they specialize in custom high-end security systems. They do cameras, alarms, smart home automation, all kinds of stuff. They're on track to hit 800K in revenue this year, just in a handful of years. They've got 5 employees, 3 vehicles on the road. They've been growing really fast. I'm super excited to hear what they've learned so far in their journey. Welcome to the show, Josh and Tim. How are you guys?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about your story. 2020 rolls around, COVID time. You guys are like, perfect time to start a company. What and why did you guys start the company? And then tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, no, I was working for another company, competitor now in the area, and just wasn't super happy with how everything was going. Figured I would try it on my own. I actually just started. I bought a van and was going to start just subcontracting, and then that just quickly led into a lot of our own clients and stuff. And then we stopped subcontracting. And yeah, started about the first year by myself with the van. We did about 200K, and then from there it's kind of just snowballed. I'd say like doubled year over year essentially. And then now, yeah, we have the team of 5.
That's awesome. How did you guys go sourcing clients, sourcing business? Because I know you guys do residential and commercial. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I would say that residential and commercial is probably pretty split down the middle, 50-50. And we tried to go with more of like, I guess, like a natural growth with just like advertising in local paper and local charities, social media, Facebook, Instagram,
Word of
Google,
mouth, everything.
word of mouth referral. Just really dive into all that. Go to the home show. Yeah, we tried some ads and stuff over the years, and they work somewhat. But we find that just now being like in year 5, like the kind of the foundation, I guess, of all the local stuff and the word of mouth referral has started to really like add up to
Yeah.
regular.
And tell me about how do you guys position yourselves against sort of like the giants, like the ADPs of the world? How do you guys kind of combat that? How do you guys see yourselves as differentiated? And how do customers kind of like think about that when they're thinking about security, home automation, those types of things?
I think one of the big things is just the like personable side of it. Like a lot of the customers that we talk to, it's a call center that they talk to. They call someone and they have no idea who it is. They don't know where they're from. They don't know anything about it. And it's almost just a script that's regurgitated over and over and over to every single customer. So it kind of makes the large majority of the people feel like they're just one in a million people. But our thing is like we're from the small town that, Josh started the business in. We grew up here. We know people here. Our techs are from here. And we kind of kept that mentality even as we started to grow, that small town mentality, and just like offer that to people, make it more personal, more geared towards them, a little bit more, feeling like they're buying from someone that they trust, they know. And especially with security, it's a big thing because, we're coming into your homes, we're finding, kind of like soft spots in security. And, a lot of these people are telling us their vulnerable stories about stuff. And so, yeah, it's just, I think we just kind of make sure that we give a level of care and service that just no one else really does.
Yeah, and it sounds like definitely working in the security side of things, being able to put a face to the name and really trust, a local company is going to outweigh, going with a bigger national brand that's kind of nameless, faceless, and nobody really cares that much, for lack of a better word. How do you guys find people to work for the company? Because you said you've got local folks as well working for the company. Are these people that have a background in security, a background in IT, a background in these kind of things? Or is this something where you guys have built like a training program? Walk me through that, because I feel like that's probably the trickiest situation.
I think it's a little mix of both. Like we have one guy who joined shortly after Josh. He has lots of background in the security industry. He's our lead technician. He knows his stuff inside and out really well. And then one of our other guys is on the opposite side where, he started off with almost no technical and no, like even, tools and stuff he was still pretty fresh on, and then build that and create that. But it's just, our big thing is, we want people in the company who we trust, we know others are going to trust, who at the end of the day, even if there, is a mix up, that they know we're going to rectify it. They like dealing with our technicians. They like dealing with myself and Josh. Problems always arise, but if you trust the people that are around you, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You guys mentioned you were talking a little bit about your marketing beforehand, but when you guys are thinking about your path to 800, your path to breaking the $1 million mark, is the largest lead source just referral, word of mouth at this point now, or is there any particular channel that you feel will help you kind of break that 7-figure mark?
Um, yeah, no, I'd say the largest lead source is Google searching, and then it'd be close with the Google searching, and then just like referral, word of mouth with all of our existing clients, kind of like selling for us in a sense to their friends and family. Um,
Mhm.
Next to that, I would say probably um, social media like Facebook, Instagram, just kind of like DMs through there, or they reach out and say that they've seen something there. But yeah, that's kind of like, as of right now, like the main funnel, I would say.
Yeah, what are you guys doing on your social media? Like, talk to me when people are DMing you. What are they clearly DMing you? Like, hey, can you do this for me? What are you showing? Who's making the content? How are you doing that? Because I think a lot of pros are kind of struggling a little bit with, what kind of content should I be putting on there? What's resonating with customers? How do you guys do it?
I think every industry is going to be a little different, but for us, we really just kind of showcase some of the jobs that we are doing or have done, um, which I guess is showing off a bit of the product as well within that. Um,
Keeping the personal touch in it as well.
yeah,
Having myself, Josh, our marketing, we have a co-op student who does marketing for us as well and helps us out with that. Having all of us kind of involved and maybe be in the videos kind of creates that comfortability where, now if they're reaching out and finding out what's available, they actually see our faces and they know who they're going to deal with and stuff like that. So I think it's a good mix of like keeping that personal thing while also showcasing, because like our product's pretty cool and it's pretty unique. And it's a lot different than the stuff you get over the counter retail. So I think it's important for us to just showcase why we're worth contacting in a sense.
Yeah, I think having a mix of the products and having the mix of knowing who's going to be coming to the door, having multiple people also contribute to an account also is super helpful. Then it doesn't always fall on just like one person to do all the work, or at least having multiple different people from the company in some of the shots or reels or videos, that you're doing, so people get exposed to the team, so they can kind of see the group of people that they might be hiring. I like that a lot. What types of tips would you guys kind of give yourselves back in 2020? So, if you were 5 years ago, Josh, what would you tell Tim, and Tim, what would you tell Josh? Like, what did you say?
I think personally for me, I'd probably tell Josh just keep going. Like, and me and Josh have known each other a long time. I think a lot of people, kind of thought, okay, starting a business on your own during COVID when everyone else was unsure if like what was going to happen in the world was nuts and, maybe not the best idea. But just, yeah, like just keep going. Don't worry about anything because like it's worked out and it's pretty cool. I mean, I wasn't always in security and I saw the vision and what he's building. So I wanted to be a part of it because I thought it was so cool what he had built. So just to, I guess, me to him back then would just keep pushing.
Yeah, and I'd say for myself personally, like if I knew what I knew now back then, I would have just I guess just started things differently. Like I wish we found something like Housecall sooner. I wish I separated personal and business, emails and phone numbers and just all those things sooner. Just things that I didn't know. Like I didn't have anyone that in my family that started a business before or anything like that. So it's just some of that small stuff that we just learned along the way, or I learned along the way that I wished that I did from the beginning. That would be my biggest thing.
That's good advice. Speak about Housecall Pro a little bit. You guys were a couple years in, when you started with Housecall Pro, what was like the final straw, or like, what was the thing that was like, all right, we got to get something in place now. We're going to get some legit systems in place here to grow the business. Well, what did that transition look like, and how did you hear or even find out about Housecall Pro?
I think one big thing that made us like really want to switch over was there was two. It was like the sales proposal tool. We like that. And then also the reoccurring side. Like for us, reoccurring is so important because it comes with like legality things, because we have monitoring and we have like these very specific contracts that deal with, people's personal information and billing and reoccurring. And as a small business, it's a nightmare to try to keep track of like 200-300 people whose subscriptions are all maybe closing or renewing or anything like that, and mixing them between 4 different softwares was just a nightmare. And months would go by and we're like, oh yeah, this person hasn't paid, we didn't know that. Okay, let's let's square something up and try to figure this out, because it takes hours a week just to try to keep things rolling. So that was one thing that if we could claw back a little bit of time every week, makes our lives way easier.
Yeah, I think to add on that too, like when I first started, when there was like minimal software to minimal systems, like we did use another CRM as like a stepping stone kind of between having nothing and getting to house call. And that definitely solved some of our issues as we kind of grew. But then really, I think where house call came in, kind of that next level for us was just its advanced capabilities over the other CRM we were using, especially like things like Tim was just saying, sales proposal tool and the service plans and stuff like that. But even just all the add-ons, like I know now we're using a handful of the add-ons as well, and it's doing what 3 or 4 softwares used to do, all in one, which at the end of the day just leads to a lot of time saving over a week or a month or a year.
Yeah, and it was funny too because me and Josh always chat, and even at the end of the day after we finish, we'll like walk around the office and we'll pick out things that we want to keep doing or changing or whatever. And then the amount of times we'd kind of like chat with each other and be like, oh man, I wish we could do this. I wish we could do this. And then, I'd be like at work the next day trying to create like a Google Doc sheet to try to see if I can recreate it, or a Canva sheet to see if I can recreate it. And I'm like, man, this is like I'm not a software developer. Like, this is impossible. And we just had those ideas, but they just didn't come into play because it's just too hard to recreate it. And then we kind of saw some of those things all blend into one CRM, and we're like, oh, okay, well, awesome.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I think that's where, it's possible to do bespoke things in lots of different tools, but then the tools don't always talk to one another, and then they're not synced, and then you got to
Mhm.
train everyone on multiple different tools, and it just becomes hard to track. So
Yeah.
yeah, the benefit for sure of having an all-in-one, just simplifying a lot of life there is important. And then I think the other one that you kind of mentioned, but for people that don't really understand what like a service plan is, or on the recurring side is, you've got the ability to collect a customer's credit card on file and bill them monthly, quarterly, weekly, yearly, whatever it is. And so, and I could totally
Yeah.
imagine for a security company, doing installations and monitoring and making sure things are running, selling a service plan is a part of that's the core of your business, is that kind of recurring
Mhm.
subscription. So, yeah, if you have to chase those credit cards down for hundreds of clients, like, pretty soon you're going to have to hire a full-time person. All they're doing is chasing down credit cards, and it's just like, it
Yeah.
makes zero sense to do by hand at a certain point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. It creates a bit of a nightmare, but it's yeah, when it's all together, it makes life just so much simpler.
Yeah. What do you think is like an underrated feature of Housecall Pro? And I'd love to hear this from each of you. So, Tim, what's your most underrated feature you don't think Housecall Pro talks enough about, or maybe that like we don't market enough about, or hear enough about? And Josh, what do you think is like the most underrated feature? Or it could just be, it doesn't even have to be a feature or an add-on. It could just be like a part of the system.
Personally, I think, in all honesty, like, you guys do talk about it a good amount, but I think it's kind of underrated how important it is for the sales proposal tool. I've been in sales for like 12 years. I've done financing, like, I've seen all those things. And one of the things that I've always done is menu sell instead of step selling. I've found it's always a better way to do things. And especially when you're creating a customized security installation system or whatever the case is, having, oh, we can offer you this and then also this and also this, but you're trying to sell one at each time because your software can only present a product or a service. It makes it impossible because then they're like, oh, yeah, that sounds good. And you're like, wait, I want you to also do this and this. It just creates this, like, it always makes you seem like you're trying to push the envelope for more money and more money and more sales. And it starts to kind of push away customers. Whereas when you menu sell and sell the way that you guys kind of have it set up at House Call, it's nice. We can present it well. We can have our logos everywhere so everyone knows it's our quote. We can have it presented to the customer where they're understanding it, because a lot of our stuff is very unique. Even
Yeah.
the people who want security systems don't necessarily understand them.
Hmm.
Even with walkthroughs, it's a lot of technology, a lot of stuff like that. So it's just nice that they can look at that. They can look at options. They can compare them right there on the software. They don't have to bring up 5 different tabs. They don't have to do all this other stuff to try to figure out what I'm trying to present to them.
Hmm.
And then they can communicate directly from that to us. I think it creates just a really good sales process, which, to me, being in sales as long as I have, it's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And being able to just educate the customers, especially something that's super niche. And most people, even like me being in tech, if you were to tell me like you got a router and a switch, and then you got this camera and like you're connecting all the pieces, like without seeing it, clearly kind of like laid out or some of my options, I would just feel like, oh, you're trying to just push me like another product if I don't see them all kind of out of the gate.
Yeah,
What,
exactly.
yeah, what about you? What do you think is your most underrated feature or add-on or thing?
That's tough to say. I think it varies like from week to week a bit for me. One week I might really like something like pipeline just to like be keeping track of things and overviewing like kind of where things are at and just having that the
Hmm.
kind of organization that we use it for, I guess. Which wasn't something that we used from the beginning, so that was something we added later and then realized that it was worth it.
Hmm.
Um, and then even like just price book, I like price book, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the
Yeah.
sales tool a bit there, with just being able to put in nice pictures and descriptions of all these products that we sell regularly. And I know I've had lots of feedback from clients that even own other businesses that are like what software are you using? Like, this looks really good. It's clean and simple. It straight to the point. Yeah, I just had that comment the other day. Like, just
Yeah.
they just really liked the experience of receiving that estimate from us, and yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny because one of the biggest ways that we grow a Housecall Pro is just word of mouth, but it's not really word of mouth. It's like one of our pros is a plumber is servicing a homeowner, but the homeowner happens to be an electrician or like, and it's just like, oh wow, that was cool. How'd you do that? Like, you guys are a small company.
Yeah,
Where'd the on my way text come from? Or like just
yeah,
little things like that
yeah.
kind of spark that conversation, which is pretty neat. Um,
I get
if you
that a
guys were
fair
thinking
bit.
about
Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys are thinking a little bit about, when you were just first kind of starting out migrating everything from your previous kind of tech stack to House Call Pro, is there anything you would do different, or is there something that you would do kind of first besides doing it sooner?
The only thing that comes to my mind is because we had another CRM before that, and we actually had two before that, but the original one wasn't really much. It was more of just an invoicing software. But I
Hmm.
think the only thing I can think of is, we ran into it recently, is we don't have all of our clients and client information from day one all saved or in-house calls. So sometimes when really early on clients reach out, or want to talk about their install or change something, or they really just information I wish we had from the
Hmm.
beginning, we just don't have, because that didn't get transferred over. Especially for us, it's like when they start going on about different equipment in their house, different cameras, whatever. It's impossible to remember exactly what we have there, what we did there, and that's what I one thing I wish that we had was to be able to go back like we do now to customers from a year ago or whatever, to see
Hmm.
exactly what we did. Read the notes, see the pictures, attachments, and
Hmm.
know exactly what we need to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good just piece of advice in general. I feel like a lot of people feel like they're not ready for a CRM or an FSM like House Call Pro, or they might be like, I don't know, is it expensive? Is it worth it? But I keep telling people like,
Yeah,
look, even if you're just getting started, it's so great to have all that information all in one place. It's all clean. All the pictures are just super important. And now that you can
Mhm.
see them all on the customer profile page, start sooner than you think. You don't have to be a big company to go buy software like this. Start when square one. Just get it all in one place so you have that history and start building it up for sure.
Well, plus I always think too, like, and I think it's based off of kind of living through that and understanding it and like experiencing it. But like, you don't start a business with the plan to fail. So why not prepare yourself for that build and that growth, right? Do it properly. Don't go
Mhm.
crazy, but do the small things right, even if it does cost money, because eventually if something happens and you start taking off, like we found, all of a sudden we're like, huh, yeah, there's a couple things we definitely wish we had done back then that could have saved us a lot of headache right now.
For
yeah. Like, if I
sure.
were to do it over
Um,
again, if I were to do it over again, I would have house call from the beginning. You can start
Yeah,
on a basic plan, whatever, and you can change that plan um,
as the business
as the
grows.
business grows, and that's just the plan. Then there's also all the add-ons, the same thing. Just like even we've done, we've added more and more of the add-ons over time as we grow.
Mhm.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. And that makes sense. I think oftentimes it's people don't. Correctly estimate their own capabilities and where things are headed. But I think even if you're thinking about getting an FSM or CRM and you happen to be listening to this podcast, the time was yesterday because you already know that you need it. So it's one of those things where like the sooner you get started, the better. And look, you guys, the other thing too, you're almost at the 100 5-star review mark for the business. You're just a couple away here. But the sooner you get started on that as well, it just builds up those reviews over and over again. And House Call
yeah,
Pro just asks for those reviews just right out of the gate for you. So
Mhm.
that's something where you may think, oh, I just need invoicing software, but the reality is like each client you don't ask a review from is just like an opportunity missed, and
yeah.
you can't get that back very easily.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. And there's certain industries, ours especially, but I know there's a lot of other ones where you'll get passed up on jobs even if you're the best price because they'll see that stuff and be like, well, you're a little too fresh. We don't know if we want to go with it. Whereas if you get those reviews early, those, softwares are, kind of just strategies in place. It does help be able to get some of those larger clients as well. Because it just kind of builds that almost immediate trust right off the hop. So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. This is so easy to talk about with you guys because you guys clearly know the software really well. When you guys think about Housecall Pro's community, the Facebook groups, becoming a super pro, what value has that had kind of on your business, and why is that important maybe for smaller businesses or businesses that aren't a part of the group or aren't a part of the super pros to become one?
Um, I think the biggest thing for me would just be I always like to know everything that the software is capable of. Also, like tips and tricks and how people are utilizing it, how people are utilizing it. Um, Especially just something that you guys update it frequently. New apps come and go. Just to be able to be on top of that and just utilize those as well. Like even like a friend of mine who owns another business in town here came by the office the other day, and he's used House Call longer than we have. And I was showing him some new features, and he didn't even realize. He goes, "They do that now?" And he's the one that got me on House Call. So I just think things like that is kind of funny, but yeah, that's why the groups are there and stuff like that.
yeah, and I think even like the groups and all that kind of community that you guys have built as well is nice just for the fact that like when you're running a business or doing anything like that and everyone else who does run a business knows it is just it's a bit of a for periods it's a bit of a lonely thing, so it's nice to know that there's also other people who, okay, if I had this struggle, they also did and they found out a way to get past it. Okay, this person had a similar thing, or hey, I experienced that, maybe I can help them out with that so it doesn't take a year for them to struggle through like it did for us, or something like that, right? Like it's nice to know that there's other people out there going through the same stuff you are and that are willing to help just like you're willing to help.
Yeah, I think that sense of community for sure too, because everyone probably got in the business because they're good at doing something, but maybe not good at building a business, or at least not yet. And so there's a whole bunch of, sharings and learnings and how to hire or how to fire and leadership and performance pay or like, where to find good people. There's just like so many other aspects of the business besides just knowing security really well and knowing the best systems or control for or like, the technical things you need to know to be able to get into the business. This is
Yeah.
awesome. We could talk about this all day. I feel like we're well beyond the 20-minute mark, but is there any one piece of advice you would give to the listeners? Maybe we'll start with Tim and then Josh. I'd love to hear your piece of advice and then we'll wrap up.
Um, in all honesty, I think I bang this drum a lot. It's just when you're doing anything for yourself or you're building something, the hardest part is always yourself. It's always you're going to be your worst critic, your hardest critic, whatever. It's just you started something, you had a passion for it, you wanted to do it on your own. Keep remembering that kind of stuff because there's good days, there's bad days, but you kind of forget about the good days easier than you forget about the bad days. Hang on to those wins, even the small ones. Your business went up by, 10K, but someone's went up by 100. Yeah, but yours is now 10K better than it was last year, right? Like just those small victories, those small wins here and there, keep on holding on to those. Because I think it's important. It gets lost sometimes in the craziness and busyness, but it's nice to remember that.
That's great advice. What about you, Josh?
Yeah. I was thinking about that the whole time. I got a couple different things. Honestly, just because I beat myself up on it all the time, is just wishing I did things differently from the beginning. Like not try to be not cheap, but like just I guess not kind of scared to invest or whatever. I'm not sure what the exact word is, but along the lines of having that separate business number from the beginning to separate the personal life, so it doesn't feel like you're just 24/7 with customers, because that's really what ends up happening. And just having that separation from the beginning with the schedule, to the phone number, to even just having like tools like Housecall that have more organization, just to have more time really to be able to like work on the business, so that I'm like out installing security all day and then coming home all night and going through personal texts and phone calls and deciphering business and personal, and then trying to like schedule it and invoice it and do it all without like the tools, right? Just do it earlier, and the little bit of money it may cost that you don't want to spend or whatever, well, you'll end up just, I think you'll end up saving it back and just time saving and like your sanity and all that stuff, if that makes sense.
Totally. No, that makes a lot of sense. Josh, Tim, thank you guys so much for being on here and sharing so many good golden nuggets here with our pros on this episode of the Superpro podcast. For everyone that's listening, we're going to have another episode next week. If you like what you heard, you're not using Housecall Pro or using Housecall Pro, and you heard some of the features like the pipeline or the sales add-on or the sales proposal add-on, just shoot me a text, 858-215-1512, or go to housecallpro.com/podcast deal. You can always text me. If you want to reach out to Josh and Tim, just go search them up on Google. They're easy to find. JR Security Solutions, Ontario, Canada. It'll show right up. They got all the stars. Google ranks them high. All right, guys. Thanks again so much, and see you guys all for another episode next week. Bye, all.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by Housecall Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. Housecall Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with Housecall Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.